righty.
During the war, at the time that all of this was going on, this was a big war throughout the world, as you know. This was a busy harbor town. Ships coming in all the time. Ships badly damaged from battle. Very, very active, very lively place. Unloading its men as they got off, who were taking the first break they had taken in a long time. So anyway, it was a very active thing, leading to many stories. We were young kids at the time, still in our novice period of time in what young men do, and we spent a lot of our time on the water. Now, this was we'd do it together. Sometimes we would take borrowed sailboats out, and sometimes we'd take out even rowboats, but usually, as the
Even with
time
all that
went
naval
on,
traffic coming in and out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was given an old ship that was used for, it wasn't a ship, of course, but it was a fairly large, you might even call it a large rowboat, but it was big, and it had a motor on it. The motor was dated 1901, and that motor was started by grabbing hold of the flywheel and physically spinning it with your arms, trying not to get caught in the damn thing.
Geez.
And it would go and do nothing until you try to get it again. After about the third or fourth time of doing this, it would finally catch. And then you must stay out of the way because it would start to run and it would speed up. And then it would stay at that speed for all the rest of the time you were using the boat. It had one speed, but it was reliable once you got it started. And it didn't take a lot of gas, but it was really taking it back to the very beginning stage of the gasoline engine. At any rate, a lot of the guys like to go on my unusual boat that was given to me, and
you remember who gave it to you?
Somebody at the boat club.
Yeah.
It was just getting a little too old for them, and they were going
to. Had they used it for like getting oysters or?
Yeah, it had been used for all sorts of things, even parties. It had drinking parties on the boat. It was all kinds of things, and we used it once we got the damn thing because we could go into harbors and bays and look at old wrecks of sailing ships.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it was all kinds of things. So we were out in the bay, in the harbor. We'd go into the bay where these big battleships were going through. And we were out there, and here comes first one destroyer, and then another one. One had been damaged, the other one hadn't. And then came one submarine. Now, it looked a bit funny to us. We weren't used to that one. But it was up, of course. It wasn't under the water. And the decks was filled up with the sailors, who were not American sailors, they were German sailors. So this was a German submarine that had been captured.
Yeah.
And it was following this Coast Guard thing, leading it into the naval yard. Now those same German sailors, the war was over. Talk about some happy guys. As that sub came in, they were jumping up and down, and when they saw the boy, us, they just waved at us and cheered.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they were cheering us because they got defeated. But the war was over. They were,
It was over, and they weren't dead. I guess
they weren't dead.
They weren't dead.
It was a time for celebration. Believe me.
Yeah.
Now, so anyway, we waved back, but the following day, some of us went down to the shipyard to see where they'd docked this thing, and just to look at it. And they would let us go on board, but we had to buy a bond, a defense bond.
Anything to raise money. They turned the captured vehicle into an attraction.
It was stink. My God, when you went down below decks, it smelled like it just smelled, everything smelled rotten, because it had been at sea for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I was just glad to get off of the thing. But I did get a chance to go through a German sub, smell all its odors.
Day after the capture.
Day after the capture.
God, nowadays they'd have that thing locked down and be tearing apart the electronics. You know, no one would see it.
Yeah, it was a different time. Then later on, that submarine was taken, I believe, to somewhere near Chicago, and it's still there. And it was cleaned up, of course. But the German sailors became prisoners of war, and what they ended up doing was not locked in a prison, but they ended up sweeping the streets, cleaning the gardens of the place like a church.
Mm-hmm.
They were just doing
pretty quickly
chores.
Re-entered society.
And they were happy to do it.
Bet they were.
And many of them spoke English. And when I was carrying my newspapers, when I wasn't in the boat, I was selling newspapers, I'd come down and see them, and they'd start and talk with me. And
that is a different world, isn't it?
It was a different world. But it's that's what happened.
Well, that's really cool. So let me